The direct deposit hits at 12:04 a.m. on the 1st and 15th. You know this because you have checked your phone at 12:06 on both dates more times than you would admit to anyone. Not from excitement, but from the specific anxiety of someone who needs the number to be there before the day makes its demands. It is always there. It has been there reliably for 6 years. The reliability has not produced the security you assumed reliability would produce, which is the thing you have been circling without landing on for longer than you've been willing to say out loud. You make $141,000 a year. You have $1,400 in savings. The math between those two sentences is the thing this story is about, not as a failure of character, not as evidence of carelessness, but as the predictable outcome of a system that nobody explained to you when the income arrived, and you started making the decisions that seemed, each time, like the obvious ones. You are 39. You are not broke in the way that word usually means. The bills are paid. The credit cards are current. The apartment is nice, genuinely nice, in the building you moved into when the salary jumped and the address felt like confirmation of something. You are broke in the way that only becomes visible when the deposit is 3 days late, or the car makes a sound, or your dentist mentions a crown. You are broke at the margin, which is the most expensive place to be broke, because the margin is where life actually happens. When the income arrived, the jump was from $74,000 to $118,000. You were 33. The gap between those numbers felt, in the first month, like the end of a specific kind of strain. The strain of budgeting carefully, of knowing which week the credit card closed, of saying no to things not from preference but from arithmetic. The gap felt like the problem being solved. The problem was not solved. The income solved the $74,000 version of the problem and immediately introduced the $118,000 version, which is the version where the decisions are larger and the stakes are higher, and the sense that you can afford things makes it harder to notice when you can't. The apartment was $2,400 a month. It felt proportionate to $118,000 and was not in the way that 24% of gross income sounds reasonable until you account for taxes, which bring the actual take-home to $7,100 a month, making the apartment 33% of take-home before any other expense exists. You did not run this calculation before signing the lease. You ran the gross income calculation, which is the calculation that produces the answer you wanted. The architecture of the paycheck. Take home at $141,000 after federal tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare, and the 401k contribution you kept at 6% to preserve the match. $7,840 a month. This is the real number. The $141,000 is the number on the offer letter, and the number at dinner parties, and the number that shapes your sense of what you can afford. The $7,840 is the number that shapes what you actually can. Fixed costs. Rent, $2,900. Car payment, $640. Car insurance, $210. Renter's insurance, $40. Phone, $95. Internet, $70. Subscriptions, counted honestly across every service, $310. Student loan, $380. Total fixed, $4,645 monthly. Remaining, $3,195. Groceries run, $580. Utilities average, $190. The number before any discretionary spending is $2,425. Discretionary spending, tracked against 3 months of actual statements rather than estimates, averages $2,380. The margin is $45 a month. $45. On $141,000 a year. You have not seen this assembled in one place before now. You have known, at some level of peripheral awareness, that the savings account was not growing. You have not known that the reason was $45. The subscription audit. The $310 in subscriptions breaks down across 14 services. You use 9 of them regularly. You use 3 of them occasionally. 2 of them you cannot immediately identify when you see the charge and have to open the billing history to remember what they are. One of them you canceled in February and it has been charging you since because the cancellation did not process and you have not looked closely enough at the statement to catch it. This is not negligence. This is the behavior of someone whose income is large enough that individual charges feel non-critical, which is the precise condition that makes small charges accumulate into a meaningful number without triggering the attention that larger charges would. You are not watching the small things because the income implied you didn't have to. The income was wrong. The car. The payment is $640 a month on a vehicle that serves every practical function you need it to serve, and that costs $640 a month because at $118,000 you could afford a $640 a month car. In the same way that you could afford the apartment, which is to say in the gross income calculation and not in the take-home calculation, which is the only calculation that actually governs your life. The car will be paid off in 14 months. This is the most important financial event of the next 2 years. It is also not a plan. It is a scheduled occurrence that will free $640 a month that will, without a deliberate decision made before the payment disappears, be absorbed by the life within 90 days of its arrival. The life is very good at absorbing new margin. The life has been absorbing margin at the rate of $141,000 a year for 6 years. It requires no help. What the savings account says. $1,400 is approximately 5 days of expenses. An emergency fund at your income level should be 3 to 6 months of expenses, which is $23,000 to $47,000. The gap between $1,400 and $23,000 is not a gap you can close through earning, because the earning is already occurring at a rate that should have produced the emergency fund years ago and didn't. The gap closes through the same mechanism that created it, running in reverse. The $310 in subscriptions, audited to the 9 you use, becomes $180. The $130 difference is $1,560 annually. The car payoff in 14 months is $640 freed, $7,680 annually if redirected before the lifestyle absorbs it. 2 restaurant meals replaced per month with cooking is $160, $1,920 annually. These 3 changes total $11,160 a year, $930 a month, which is 20 times your current margin. None of these changes require a different income. They require treating the $7,840 as the real number rather than the $141,000, and making decisions inside the real number rather than decisions that feel proportionate to the number on the offer letter. What the 401k is not doing. 6% match preservation at $141,000 is $8,460 annually. The employer match at 4% adds $5,640. Total annual contribution, $14,100. At 7% average return over 26 years to retirement at 65, starting from whatever balance currently exists. Workable, but not sufficient at your income level and expected lifestyle. The maximum 401k contribution is $23,000. The difference between 6% and the maximum is $14,540 annually. That amount, invested for 26 years at 7%, is $1,020,000. You are leaving $1,020,000 on the table to maintain a margin of $45 a month, which is not a trade you would make if someone presented it to you in those terms. No one presented it in those terms. The paycheck arrived and the budget emerged, and the 6% felt like financial responsibility, which it is, partially, the way a foundation is partially a house. The Wednesday the number changes. You cancel the 2 subscriptions you cannot identify. The canceled one that has been charging you refunds 3 months. You call about the 4th. You move the $130 in subscription savings to an automatic transfer before the next paycheck clears. You set a calendar reminder for the car payoff date with a single instruction to yourself. Increase 401k contribution to maximum before the $640 lands anywhere else. These are not dramatic actions. They take 40 minutes. They do not require a different income, a different job, a different life. They require the $7,840 to be treated as the architecture of the decisions rather than the $141,000, which was always a gross number attached to a net life. The deposit hits at 12:04 a.m. You check it at 12:06. The number is there. This time you know, for the first time, exactly where it is going. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.